Welcome to the Randy Gravitt Leadership Podcast, where we help you lead the hardest person you will ever lead, yourself. Here's your host, someone who believes leadership begins at home, Randy Gravitt.
Welcome to the last Monday of the year. Happy New Year, everybody. So glad you chose to spend part of your holiday week with us here on the podcast. I'm excited about today's episode. We're winding down here. We got just 3 or 4 days left in the year, and it's going to be 2021 next Monday when we're together again for this main podcast. I do hope you'll join us Wednesday. They got one more little episode just in a couple of days where we'll actually give you a way to take deeper a little bit what we're talking about here. But I want to challenge you today to begin to think about 2021. When I was a kid, I remember when we were playing sports, going into a football season or a basketball season, we always had spring practice. We always had, in football, we always had 2-a-days in the summer. It's almost like a training camp kind of mindset. I worked with some professional sports teams over the last few years, and I'd always go to spring training with them or been with them in the off season, getting ready for our football season, whatever. And so as you think about your 2021, I think these next few days are going to be really important to position you to win in this next year. Now, here's a question I have for you. I asked this question last week, and I've really been thinking about this a lot. Like, what is it you're going to do to make sure that next year is as good as it can be? Maybe even better than this last year. Or the way I'm thinking about this next year is I'm trying to do some things this next year that are going to make this the best year I've ever had. And I've had some good years. I mean, I really have. At the end of every year, I'm always like, that was a really good year. And I'm excited. I'm always pretty upbeat. And even this last year, as I look back on it, there have been some things we've talked about the last couple of weeks that we've learned together, and some things that I've, tried to grow from. And I'm excited about taking them into my future. And you've been working on the same stuff as you've listened the last couple of weeks. So what is it that you're going to do different, though, as you go into the next year? So I hope you're going to get our course. It's an investment I'm asking you to make in yourself. It's available on the podcast today. At the end of our time today, you can actually go into your show notes and find a link to it. We're giving early access to people who are on the podcast here. I hope you'll get our course, 21 Days to Your Best Year Ever. We designed the course that I always wanted to take. I never could find it, but I thought, man, it would be cool if I had a course that would help me have a blueprint, a framework for the way I think about my life. And that really is what we've designed for you. We created the course because we couldn't find it. And so I want to be going through it with you. It's going to be great. And I'm really excited about putting some of the things that we're talking about in this thing. We already found that it's fantastic. And I'm convinced if I can build these 21 concepts into the DNA of my leadership, man, it's going to position me to really have a fantastic year. And I know it's going to do the same for you. There's greatness in you. It's waiting to be unleashed. I hope you'll join me for 21 days. And let's make this the best year ever. So today, I want to give you a little bit of a preview of some of the things that we're going to talk about there. And it's a video course, but it's designed around the 3 things that we talk about, the self-leadership really framework that I use to think about and to try to create our content and some of the things that we're doing to help you lead yourself well. And you know those 3 things. If you've been listening very long, we talk about gaining clarity, we talk about increasing capacity, and ultimately, I want to encourage you to create a legacy, not just a great year, but I'm excited about you having generational impact as you lead yourself well and you keep getting better and you go on this journey of progress through the years. And so today I want us to think about clarity a little bit in a little more depth than what we typically do on here. And again, we're going to have a whole week on the course. We're going to unpack all the things that we'll talk about today. We'll go into depth on those, and you're going to have action plans and a self-assessment, some things that you would be able to do to really make sure your clarity is just locked in, spot on. But as you know, as you lead, and you lead yourself, but you lead other things, you're listening, you're leading other things as well. You know that the faster you go, the easier it is for things to become fuzzy. They get hazy in our leadership. Our vision begins to leak and things just get blurry. And so I want us to talk about how do we make sure that we not only gain clarity, but we maintain clarity. We stay crystal clear. And I think there's a few things that I would just touch on today. We hit them in the course. I mean, you're gonna get all these things, but But I want you to think today about like, where are you today? Like, what is your current reality? I think it's important for us to be self-aware, to be locked in on what, like, we're grounded in reality. The best leaders are grounded in reality. They're not delusional. They believe they can accomplish things and they have aspirations. Those things are great. But the really strong leaders, they understand reality as well, and they live there, and they know that place. And so, do you have a way to assess your leadership? We'll have a way in the course. It's going to be great. But if you don't have a way to assess your leadership, how are you going to know, like, where am I right now in relation to where I want to be? Not clarity begins with starting where you are and living in reality. And then I think you have to define where you want to go. And you have to have a clear picture of where you want to go. So what's your vision for this next year? What's your vision for your life? Are you just hoping things are a little better than they were in 2021? Are you hoping there's not going to be another election? Are you hoping that people are going to get along? Are you hoping the virus goes away? Hope really is not a strategy for high performance. You got to believe and behave your way to high performance, but you got to have a picture of where you want to go. You got to be able to see where you want to take your people and see where you want your life to be. So as you wind down this year and start thinking about next year, do you really have a clear picture of where you want to go? I hope you do. And if not, again, we're going to help you define where it is you want to go as you think about your vision and those kind of things. And then a third thing I would say, as we kind of wind down this year, it's a good time to recalibrate and check on your why. What is your why? You say, what do you mean? Well, why do you do what you do? What's your motive? I guess that's a good way to say it. What's our motivation for this next year? Why are we motivated to have our best year ever? I mean, it's great to have class, but like, what's the motive of trying to take our life and our leadership to the next level? And if you can really give some thought time to that, and you can decide why you do what you want to do, it's amazing how when our motives are exposed and we really know what they are, our energy goes up if we have the right motives. The right motives, or the right why, we would say, keeps motivation high. I mean, it really does. If you have the right why and you're driven by that, you wake up every day, you have purpose for that, it's going to take your leadership to the next level. I love Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. It's a great concept. If you can understand why you do what you do, it actually helps you to do what you do. So let's think about that. And then as you begin to think about the next year, do you have any goals? Like, are you planning on measuring anything this next year? I got a few areas I'm trying to measure. I'm excited about that. It's pushing me to think about some areas differently. I'm trying to push some areas to the next level. And I want to challenge you to begin to think about your measurement for this next year. Like, what are your goals going to be? Do they matter? Are they relevant? And are you challenging yourself to go to a level that you've never been to before? I mean, I'm talking best year ever. What would that look like from a measurement standpoint? Measurement improves performance every single time. When we begin to measure things, they begin to matter more, and especially when we measure the things that matter. So let's give some thought to that as we go into the next year. And again, got 3 or 4 more days of preseason. You're practicing. You're getting ready. You're taping up your ankles and all that stuff. You're getting your body ready. All those things. If you're going into a football season, well, as you're going into a life season this next year, you got 3 or 4 more days to prepare. So what are you going to measure on? And then what will your focus be? What will your focus be? I was at a conference a while back, and I heard a story about Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They had been in the same room, and I actually heard Warren Buffett tell this story later, that he and Bill Gates, and there were 18 others, I think there were about 20 of them in a room, very successful people, and Bill Gates' father happened to be in this room, and Bill Gates' dad did something kind of interesting. He asked everybody around the table to take out an index card, and he asked this question. He said, if you could identify one word that is most vital or most responsible, I guess was what he said, for your success, what would that one word be that you would attribute your success to? Would you please write it on the card? And so and put your name. And so they all write it on the card. And the story goes, the way Warren Buffett told it was that when he got home, he looked at the cards, Bill Gates' father did, and he noticed that Bill and Warren had written the same word on their cards, and that word was focus. And so I'm just going to challenge you, as you think about this next year, What are you focused on? Like, how are you narrowing your focus from what you were focused on maybe this last year? Maybe you had more of a shotgun approach. If you think about a shotgun shell, it's full of pellets and it spreads. A rifle it's just one projectile and it's dialed in much more. And I think that's a good picture for us when we think about focus. It's what are we doing to narrow the focus? What is the bullseye for your leadership this next year? And so that's another thing. If we're going to have clarity, we got to know, what do we focus on? What do we say yes to? And it actually helps us to know what we should say no to when we have that narrow focus. And a couple more things I would say as we think about clarity is there are going to be things this next year. They're going to come against your clarity. They're going to battle against you. They're going to be barriers to you. You may be at war with these, and I would call them distractions. And so as you do an inventory on your life and leadership here as we end the year, what are you doing to eliminate the distractions? If you're not careful, you'll be scrolling all the time and social media all the time, and you'll be on the screens all the time. And there's time to do that. That's great. Some of you are watching on YouTube. That's fantastic. I appreciate that. Hope you'll hit the like button, share, tell people. That's awesome. And I do the same stuff. I love that. But I need to make sure that I'm telling myself when I'm going to do screen time. I'm scheduling that, or I'll find myself just surfing and shopping and watching, binge watching, whatever. I mean, it's just not the way I want to live my life, especially if I'm going to have the best life that I can and I'm going to create a legacy. So I want to challenge you to really lock in on your distractions and say, what do I need to do to eliminate those, to get those out of my way? All those emails that you find yourself buried in. There probably is a time you need to do email, but not all day long, scrolling all the time, pop-ups, notifications. Maybe you need all the news apps off your phone. I don't know, but there's distractions that are coming against you, and you're responsible to keep the clutter free. You are the keeper of your own clarity. And then I guess I would just say the last thing, and this is kind of a great way for us to end the year, and that is this. I think leaders, really great leaders who maintain clarity, not just gain it, but they maintain it, they constantly assess and adjust. They assess and adjust. So when I was playing ball in high school, and now even with NFL teams when I'm around them, or college teams, done some work with several levels, and every team that I've been around always watches the game film on Monday after their game on the weekend. They play Friday night, they play Saturday, they play Sunday. The first thing they do when they come back is they watch the film. And it gives them a chance to assess what happened and to make adjustments going into the next week, the next game. And I think it's sad that we have people playing games that are doing that, and yet we have our life and we're not spending very much time at all reflecting, assessing, and adjusting as we go forward. So I want to really encourage you, especially here at the end of the year, assess this last year. Like, how did you do? Where did you fall short? Where did you exceed expectations? Where did you have triumph? Where did you have failure? Like, what is it that you need to do differently going into a new year to adjust and have the life that you could have? I hope one of those things would be, again, that investment you'd make in yourself. I hope you'll get our course. I really do. We haven't asked you to do anything over these last few months, but I really am asking you, go get this course. This course is going to be your self-leadership blueprint, because I think it's going to help you. And I know if you can lead you, all the people around you are going to benefit. And that fires me up. It's really why we created the thing. So as you think about your year, as it lands, like, how much clarity do you have right now thinking about where you want to go from here? Is there fuzzy on your, their lenses? It's like your sunglasses. When they get fogged up, you just can't see like you should. Well, let's wipe them down right here these last couple of days. Let's clean that up, and let's adjust and move forward and be the leaders that we can be as we go forward. I'm confident that this next year really can be your best year ever, but it won't happen unless you maintain clarity. You got to gain it first, then maintain it. If you do that, you get crystal clear on things. It'll really position you to succeed. So keep leading yourself well. Spend some time this week activating what we're talking about here. I hope you'll share this with someone who's a fellow leader and have some discussions maybe even about this. Give us a thumbs up, a download off the YouTube channel, any of that kind of stuff helps out. Spread the message. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast these last few months. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you. Never forget, leadership begins at home.
Thanks for listening to the Randy Gravitt Leadership Podcast. Please help us spread the word by sharing today's episode with your friends and coworkers. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel on Spotify or through iTunes. You'll find all the links on the media tab at randygravitt.com. Now, let's go apply what we've learned and lead ourselves well. Remember, leadership begins at home.